no. He said, no, you cannot live with me. Mind you, living with him is free. Doesn't cost him anything.
What? Living with him is free? No, it's not. You're clearly gonna cost him his peace. Hi everyone, my name's Dimitri and welcome back to DimitriTube. On this channel, I talk about crazy things that I see on the internet. And today, we are gonna talk about this queen. It'll show up somewhere on the screen. And just one quick thing before we get started. If y'all hear like a weird noise in the background, I'm sorry. It is very cold here in Washington, D.C. and sometimes my heater just like makes a noise. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So I was on Twitter and I came across a video of this woman explaining why a man ghosted her. And the video was like 9 minutes long, but I had time. So I watched it and this video has gone viral on TikTok. It has almost 3 million views. Long story short, this woman is about to be homeless. She lost her job and she asked her boyfriend of 11 months if she could move in with him, and he said no.
Yikes.
And the plot thickens even more. She told him she's about to be living in her car, and he clapped back, oh, it's okay. A lot of millionaires slept in their car before they became millionaires. Anyways, so let's get into this. So I'm not gonna play the whole video. The video is like 9 minutes long and then she does a follow-up video, but I will link it below if you wanna watch the whole thing. But I do wanna talk about specific parts because the narrator cannot be trusted.
My boyfriend is also 34, grown man. He also is a homeowner, has a pretty good job, and also has a business that he's starting. So let's start there, right? So recently obviously, like you all have known, I've become unemployed. And I have not been able to find a job. I have put in like 30 applications a day. I've got nothing, like barely even an interview. I've gone on 2 interviews. So I've been literally struggling and I no longer have the funds to afford these bills, okay? Anyways, okay.
So if you already watched the whole video, I do think her boyfriend was lying, which we're gonna talk about later in the video, but I think she was lying too. And this is where it started. Withholding information is the same as lying. And in this video, you'll see she withholds a lot of information. So she said, also, what is her name? Niani. And Niani says she lost her job recently, but she does not say exactly when she lost her job. I watched this video like 3 times because I was trying to understand when she lost her job, but she doesn't say. And she says she applied for 30 jobs every day, but applying for 30 jobs every day for a month is different from applying to 30 jobs every day for a year. And don't get me wrong, I'm not completely evil. Looking for a job in itself is a full-time job, so I sympathize with her in that, but she didn't even bother to tell us like how long she's been unemployed. And then she goes on to say that she had hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Anyways, okay, I'm gonna keep it together for this. I'm not gonna get stressed out. I no longer have the funds to afford these bills. It's something so crazy about having hundreds of thousands of dollars one day and then the next day having nothing. But that's what's going on.
She said she had hundreds of thousands of dollars. So for the sake of example, let's just say she had $100,000 and she went from that to nothing. Now, I really want to know how long she's been unemployed because she said she was recently unemployed. So have you been unemployed for 2 months, for 6 months, or a year? Like how long have you been unemployed? Because if you had $100,000, that is a lot of money. That's more than most people make in a year. To me, it sounds like she's living outside of her means because you went from $100,000 to 0 and you recently lost your job. So you're paying for a lifestyle you can't afford. And not only that, Niani lives in North Carolina, which is not the most expensive place to live. Like I think Charlotte is the most expensive city there. But even then, like $100,000, you should be able to live for more than a year without a job with $100,000. And she's single and doesn't have any kids, so she's definitely spending outside of her means. And I think that average income for an American household is like $50,000. So in theory, she should be able to live for 2 years if she has that much money. And don't get me wrong, you're definitely not gonna live a glamorous life on that, but you should be able to live.
With my man, and I go, hey, I'm gonna need to like stay with you for a little while I get myself together. Like, I don't have anything on the rent, and so I'm gonna need to move with you while I get myself together. Mind you, I said he has his own house, his own 3-bedroom apartment in a nice neighborhood. He also has a best friend. His best friend lives with him. mind you, and has been living with him for...
Next, this is very weird to me. So she definitely pocket watches. He lives in a 3-bedroom apartment. It's in a nice neighborhood. He owns a business. He does well for himself. He has a roommate, yada, yada, yada. Like, she is watching this man's pockets. And yes, they're dating, but I think that's in general, I just think that's weird to do. And later on in the video, she does mention that he owns the condo, but overall, this is just very weird. If you want to know about your boyfriend's finances, just ask him. And don't get me wrong, she can ask him and he can say, no, I'm not gonna tell you. Like, that's very much his right. But she's doing all of this speculation on what he has. But like, just because people have things doesn't mean they're like balling out of control. Later on in the video, we find out she doesn't even know if the roommate is paying rent. And going even further than that, because she thinks he has all of these things, Niani feels like she's entitled to it. When she talks about moving in with him, she says, I'm gonna need to move in with you and get it together. Like, she says it like she's entitled to live with him, and I find that so weird. And I don't think she would feel that way if she wasn't pocket watching this hard. And this part is why the video blew up and caught my attention, because on TikTok, everyone was supporting her. Like, a boyfriend would never do that. He would let you move in with you. Go girl, I'm glad you left him. This is for the better. Yes, girl, you did the right thing leaving him, yada, yada, yada. Like, on TikTok, it was all these girl power comments, but then on Twitter, a lot of people were calling her a bum. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm.
And so I'm like, if his best friend can live with him, why not his girlfriend, you know? So I'm like, hey, I need a place to stay. Which honestly, in hindsight, I shouldn't even have to ask for that. He knew I was struggling. He should have said, hey, let me take something off of your plate. Like, come stay with me so that you can breathe and get this. If he really cared about me, he would have said that, but he didn't.
Now, this is probably the only part of the video that I agree with her on. That man does not love her. And I'm glad she found that out. I do think if you have a girlfriend for a year and she's about to be homeless, if that guy truly loved you and had space, he would let you move in with him. But also at the same time, this is why I do not trust the narrator. Why did we wait until we are about to be homeless to ask to move in with your boyfriend? Like, months before, why didn't you ask him to like help you get a job? Or maybe he sounds like a good businessman. Maybe he had some connects to help you find a job. Maybe he's better with money management and could have found a way for you to like live, like maybe move out of your apartment but still live in the city. Like, you know, there's so much nuance to this. Like, why did we wait till last minute? This is why I just don't trust the narrator. Like, I feel like there's more to this that she's just blatantly leaving out. And then also, I think women are very intuitive. You've been dating a year. You should know this man well enough to know if you think moving in together is like about to happen. The fact that she asked, he said no, and she was like completely blindsided is pretty wild to me. Like, you've been dating this man a year and you had no idea that he was gonna say no. Like, I just don't, I just feel like most women are more intuitive than that. And yes, it's possible that she was seeing the relationship one way and he was seeing it another way, but if she wanted to move in together this soon, I'm sure she should have been dropping hints and then seeing how he reacted to it or something. But just to be completely blindsided like this makes no sense to me.
If he cared about me, he would have said that, but he didn't. He sat there and he watched me struggle and then watched me get to the point where I was like, hey, I just need a break. Like, I'm literally so depressed, I'm losing my mind, I can't find anything, can you please help me? And he said no. He said no. He said no, you cannot live with me. Mind you, living with him is free. Doesn't cost him anything.
What? Living with him is free? No, it's not. You're clearly gonna cost him his peace. Let me know below in the comments. Maybe this is just girl math or something, but as a guy, I think if somebody moves in with me, that is an expense. Like, if she moves in with him and she doesn't have a job, she's gotta eat, she'll need gas money to go to interviews, she'll likely expect him to continue dating, she's gonna expect him to keep the romance up, and also there's no telling when she's gonna get a job. So anything she needs, she'll be relying on him until she gets a job. job. So for her to say it costs nothing for her to move in is like pretty wild to me. And the fact that she's just so nonchalant about it. Oh, me moving in with you is free. Again, it goes back to that entitlement. In that moment, she just sounded very entitled to me. Like she is entitled to live with him. And I really didn't like that. If I was him, I would have thought that was like a major red flag too. Okay, so they've been dating 11 months and she gave him a 1-year timeline to be engaged. And according to her, they talked about engagement 10 times throughout that 11 months. Sorry to break it to you, girl, but he lied. He lied. It happens. Men lie sometimes. Women lie too, but men also lie sometimes too. This is just my opinion. If you're dating someone and you say, I have to be engaged within a year, this is what you want out of a relationship. So if a guy is not giving that to you, you have to be strong enough to break up with him and leave. If you reach 11 months and you feel like you should be engaged by now and you're not, and he tells you he's not interested in engagement, you need to leave him. You should not even entertain staying with him. A relationship is a two-way street. If you want something out of a relationship and he wants something else and y'all realize that the two things you want are different, y'all are probably not meant for each other.
I can't live with him. At first he goes, oh, I like that we have our own places to retreat to when we get into our arguments. And wrong answer. Number one, when we get into arguments, we never leave. Like we stay in the same room and we continue to talk it out until we work it through, which I think is a really good habit that we have and a really good, I don't think I want to live with someone again until I'm married to them. Which is some new boundary that he literally just made up because he's never said that the whole time we've been together.
And shortly before they broke up, she asked him if they're still on track to get engaged, and he said no. She says that the 10 times that she previously asked about engagement, there were no indicators that they were not on track. This is the first time she heard him saying they are not on track to be engaged. This is very much a he said versus she said type of situation. She's saying he led her on, but also at the same time, she said she was blindsided when she asked to move in with him. So did this man lead her on, or were they just seeing two different relationships and now they're realizing they were seeing two different relationships? We don't know. Next, the guy tells her that he does not want to move in together until they're married. And apparently this is a new boundary he created that she didn't know about. And she said, that is dumb. It's better to live together, make sure we're compatible before getting married. Now, y'all, I was raised Catholic and moving in together before marriage is definitely living in sin. So she's not really in the right here. If y'all didn't know, moving in together before getting married is very much a recent phenomenon. Like people just started doing this within the past 20-25 years. Like typically it was you get married and then you move in together, but now it's flipped. And this has been very recent, but there are a lot of religious people who still wait to get married before moving in together. And for her to just throw that away and say it's stupid is like really silly. And not only that, she's the one about to be homeless. So she literally has no leverage in any of this. So I'm definitely like the unpopular opinion in all of this. Compared to my peers, all of my peers are very much like move in together and then get married. But I kind of see it opposite. I think you should get married and then move in together because then you're more likely to stick it out and work things out versus if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend living together, it's very easy to be like, well, I'm gonna get up and just move. Whereas if you're married, there's like contracts involved and typically people put in more effort to stay. And I know a lot of y'all gonna be in my comments like, well, divorced people just quit, call it quits all the time, yada, yada, yada. And yes, that's true. But I do feel like if you get married beforehand, you're gonna put in more effort to just make it work. And overall, this just goes to like a greater issue we're having in this country. Like our economy is like not that great, and more so people are moving in together sooner out of economic need, not necessarily because they want to. Like in general, rent is just so high, so that is forcing more couples to move in together probably sooner than they'd like. But when people talk about, oh, let's move in together, it makes more sense to move in together before marriage. Like yes, that kind of makes sense, but also we're not talking about all the money you're saving by moving in together sooner, because I think that's more so the reason versus the let's play house before getting married.
So imagine my surprise when he says, I don't think we're close to being married. We still have things to figure out, because a couple of nights ago I got super irritated at him and yelled at him and told him to leave my house. And apparently that's enough of a reason for him to be like, whoa, I don't want to marry her.
So they recently got into an argument and she kicked him out of her apartment. And now she's asking to move into his apartment. What? Earlier in the video, she mentions that they've had arguments before. They always stay in and they figure it out. They work it out. But now she's saying that last time they were in an argument, she kicked him out of the apartment. Sis, earlier in the video, you just say y'all always work it out. What happened this time? And not only that, have y'all heard the saying, don't bite the hand that feeds you? So she's about to be homeless and is asking her boyfriend if she can move in. But last time they were in an argument, she kicked him out of her apartment. That is literally biting the hand that feeds you.
Be homeless because I don't have a job and these bills keep coming and I can't do it no more. I'm tapped out of resources. And I think I'm gonna end up, if you don't let me live with you, I'm gonna end up in my car, living in my car, something like being actually homeless. And he goes, well, plenty of millionaires have lived in their car before.
I'm sorry, y'all. That's funny. That is like pure TikTok comedy. Like, you can't make this up. So yeah, that's kind of mean. He shouldn't have said that. Like, oh, you're about to be homeless in your car. Well, a ton of millionaires have been homeless in their car. Like, clearly he's not seeing the gravity of the situation. But to kind of poke fun at it like that, like, clearly he was poking the bear. but for a TikTok story, I thought it was hilarious. Also, she never explains this, but I'm curious why she asked to move in with him versus like, why didn't you ask to see if he would like pay a month of your rent or something? Like, why did we jump to moving in together? Like, I wish she had cleared that up, but of course she doesn't explain that.
I've had friends that I've let stay with me, that I've given a place to stay for free, that I've been able to like say, hey, you can lean on me. Like, don't worry about nothing. Take a break. I got you. So if I can be...
Again, another part that completely makes no sense. So if you've had friends who were almost homeless before and you let those friends live with you and now you're about to be homeless, why are you not asking to stay on those friends' couches? Why are you not asking to stay with those friends? Like, where you're in a time of need, where are those friends? Again, she claims that she had friends who were in need and she helped them out. So where are those friends now? Why is she not looking to those friends for help versus her boyfriend?
I should be homeless while he goes home to his 3-bedroom house in a nice neighborhood and rubs his feet together under his nice comforter set, his nice sheet set, and watches his 70-inch TV on the wall.
That ending really rubbed me the wrong way, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier about pocket watching. She's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be homeless in my car while you're in your 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood under your comforter, twiddling your thumbs, yada, yada, yada. This rubbed me the wrong way because she's talking as if he didn't even earn it. So we don't know this man. We don't know if he's a trust fund kid or actually worked for everything he has. We don't know. But earlier in the video, she said he's a businessman. He does real estate. He does da-da-da. So in my ears, it sounds like he worked for what he has. So for her to be like, oh, you're gonna be twiddling your thumbs in your 3-bedroom in a nice neighborhood, yada, 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 you're discounting everything he worked for. He most likely worked for that apartment. He worked for his living situation and everything that he has. And for you to be like resentful of it is like really gross. And again, it goes back to that entitlement. Like, she feels like she's entitled to live there. And don't get me wrong, she's clearly mad and feeling very salty over this guy. That's part of it. But also, we can't discount the fact that she feels entitled to that life, and it's just really gross. So she posted a follow-up video, which we're about to talk about shortly, but just 2 things I want to mention before we move on to that. A lot of people in the comments were saying that this guy was probably sleeping with the roommate and that's why he didn't want her to move in. I'm not going to speculate on his sexuality, like, I really don't care, but this woman is about to be homeless. Whether or not her ex is gay, it should be like the least of your worries. Next, the internet loves to put together these like gender wars, but like, in this specific scenario, could you imagine if the genders were flipped? Like, it would not have gone down like this. Imagine if she had her own 3-bedroom apartment and she had a roommate living with her and he was like, oh, you got a 3-bedroom apartment with a roommate, you got plenty of room for me, da 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 da, I need to move in with you because I'm falling on tough times. Like, a lot of people would call him a bum, but because she's a woman, she's not a bum. And in the follow-up video, she even mentions that there were a lot of people in the comments calling her a bum, but like, if you're about to be homeless and you're begging to live with your boyfriend, is that not the definition of a bum?
About why he had his best friend living with him, he told me that a little while after he had moved in, he had started to it was quiet. He didn't say he was lonely, he said that it was quiet. The house was too quiet. I don't know if he asked the best friend or the best friend asked him, but the best friend was there. Is he paying bills? People are asking me, is the best friend paying rent? I don't know, y'all.
So 2 things that I find very weird. So she asked him, why does he have a roommate? Girl, like, you're about to be homeless. Do you not understand the state of this economy and like how expensive things are? It's more fiscally responsible to have a roommate. And that honestly proves to me even more that she's probably bad with money. The fact that she's just asking people why they have roommates, because it's more fiscally responsible. And then later on in the video, she apparently told him, you're grown, why do you have all these roommates? You don't need no roommates, da 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 da. That was just so dumb to me. So some people just don't like living by themselves, truly. You tend to find this more with women than men, but truly some people just don't like living by themselves. And then the other thing is so he apparently owns this condo and she does not know whether or not the roommate is paying rent. She knows he's not paying utilities, but she doesn't know if he's paying rent. To get a roommate and have a roommate pay rent, that goes towards his mortgage. He's paying off his mortgage quicker. Like, it literally makes more financial sense to have a roommate, especially if he doesn't mind it. If he doesn't mind having a roommate, that's just more financially smart. And the fact that she didn't even see it that way, I hate to say it, but I'm on his side. He's probably seeing that she's just very financially irresponsible. And then in the video, we find out that not only does he have one roommate, he has another roommate, and she asked him, how did they meet? Like, how did he become a roommate? Yada, yada, yada. And he was very dodgy about the question. So this is where I do agree with her. So I do think this man is lying. Like, I don't know what he's lying about, but he's lying about something. And in situations like this, it doesn't even matter what he's lying about. You know he's lying. You have a feeling that he's lying. You just gotta like go with your gut and go with your intuition. She's trying to be Nancy Drew right now and figure out where exactly he's lying when she should be trying to figure out how not to be homeless next week. So then fast forward, she gets on Facebook or something and finds his apartment on like a roommate finder, like a website where you can rent out a room, and she finds his apartment on it and he's trying to like rent out one of the rooms. So she gets upset because he's willing to rent the room out to a stranger, but he's not willing to move her in. And like, she's struggling to understand this, but it's very simple. The stranger is willing to pay rent. You're not. So like, what about that is complicated?
So he's African, he's Ghanaian. A lot of people ask what ethnicity he was. He's African. He is currently in Africa.
Next, so a lot of people ask his ethnicity in the comments, and we find out that he is African, specifically Ghanaian. And I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny because I was pretty sure this man was not black. Like, I was pretty certain, like the fact that he's Ghanaian, like that very much tracks, not specifically Ghanaian, but specifically that he's African, because this erratic behavior, usually black people don't do that. So that was not surprising to me. Next, this man went to Africa for the holidays and she really pushed him to try not to go. They need to spend the holidays together, yada, yada, yada. It's very clear this man values his independence and she's trying to stop that. So him not wanting to marry her is even less surprising now. And just a heads up, so part of my job, like I work with things in other countries, and just a heads up, America works. Like, we work often through the holidays, but if you go to other countries, they take breaks for the holidays. So she's not wrong. Like, him going to Ghana, more than likely, there's not gonna be a lot of work done over Christmas. If that's a Christian country, and I think it is a Christian country, I don't know. If it's not, somebody like put in the comments. But like, for the most part during holidays, especially in other countries, not as much work gets done. But the fact that he's so adamant about going there, I do think he is hiding something, but he's not telling her. Also, I think she's African as well, because she's like, I'm focused on the bills. I need someone to pay these bills. Somebody got to pay these bills. And like, just in black culture, unless you're dating like an athlete or a rapper, there's not really an expectation that your boyfriend is going to pay all of your bills. So maybe, again, let me know in the comments, like maybe they do that in African culture. Like, I think they do, because African culture tends to be more traditional, so I guess it's expected that the man pay for everything for the wife, and now she's expecting that from him. But to me, to expect that from a boyfriend is like pretty ridiculous. And like, in black culture, unless you're dating like an athlete or a rapper, like that should not be an expectation while dating. Now married, that's a different story, but while dating, nah.
But I asked him, I said if it was okay, and that's why he gave me the response that no, it's not okay. He ended up saying like, we're not moving in until we're married, so if you're ready to get married, I'm ready to get married. Really, that's not the proposal of my dreams. I don't know if it's anybody else's proposal, and I don't know if he was serious or not. Like, but to say like, oh, we got married because I was almost homeless is not the proposal of my dreams.
And then we find out he was down to get married and then move in, but he didn't want to just move in. And she did not want to marry him because she's like, oh, she wants the picturesque proposal. She wants him to marry her just cause, not just cause she needs a place to live. Now in this part, I just thought she sounded silly. She's like, now that I had to beg for it, I don't want it. I want you to do a proposal on your own accord, not just cause I'm about to be homeless, but like, all I thought was beggars can't be choosers. Like, so it was okay for you to ask to move in with him versus him offering, but now he's saying, oh yeah, you can move in with me, but you gotta marry me first. Now that it's on his terms, it's a problem. Again, beggars cannot be choosers. Like, this whole relationship reeks of desperation on her end, but she's the desperate one, but she also wants to do everything on her own terms. Like, that's just not the way this works. Neither of the people in this relationship are wrong. He has every right to say, oh, you can move in if we get married. And she has every right to say, no, I don't want it that way. I want it this way. And he has the right to say, no, that's not gonna work for me. They're just not compatible people. And neither of them are wrong. And last thing to wrap up the video, a lot of people in the comments asked her why she doesn't just move in with her parents or with family. So her dad passed when she was younger, and then her mom is just not in the right place to have someone move in with her. And then her family, like the rest of her family lives in other states. So that's like not an option right now. And again, she's withholding information. What about all those friends you said you let stay with you? Where are those friends now? Like, why did you not mention that? Like, again, she's withholding information, and I think she's lying just as much as her ex was lying. And that's all I got. Let me know below in the comments what you thought of this video. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.